UnderDog Fantasy continues to be one of the best daily fantasy prop games on the market. They have the most amount of options and the highest payouts. They'll even give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit. If you give them $10, they'll give you $10. If you give them $100, they will give you $100 instantly that you can use. You could just use the free deposit match, build your entry, win, and then withdraw that money. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks. I'm going to give you my UFC 304 UnderDog Fantasy entry. Before we jump in for UFC 304, you can look across the top. This is every single sport. You can combine, you can mix and match, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm going to focus on UFC, but you can go ahead and build entries for other sports that interest you. Right off the rip, we're going Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, they're giving him 84.5 significant strikes, and we are going the lower there. He has only gotten past that number one single time in his UFC career, and it wasn't in his last fight or the fight before that. Leon Edwards is not a high-volume striker. He's a low-volume striker who finds his spots and looks for his opening. If you think Leon Edwards wins, he's going to stay in the distance, defend some takedowns, land some shots here and there, potentially finish Bilal Muhammad. If you think he loses, he's getting taken down over and over and over again and controlled. In either one of those scenarios, Leon Edwards is not getting past 84.5 significant strikes, so I think that we are good in that department. If you look at Bilal Muhammad, we don't have takedown line for him. That's a little disappointing. Maybe that'll pop up tomorrow or Saturday, but for now, we'll leave that alone. If we get a insanely low takedown line for some reason, I'm going to go ahead and hit that. I do think Bilal Muhammad has some success wrestling. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be enough to win the fight, but I certainly think he will have enough to get that fight going and take a round or two. If we take a look at Curtis Blades, this is another interesting situation. We don't have a takedown line for him. If we get lucky enough and one drops later at like 2 takedowns, 3 takedowns, then we're going to hit the under on that. We're going to work our way down here. I don't like the rest of these either. Paddy Pimblett, they gave him half of a finish higher at 2x. Lower is an option. I considered that because we can do the insurance payout if he does end up getting a finish, but I don't think he's going to finish Bobby Green. If he wins, I think it's likely a decision. The only reason I'm not going to add this is, I mean, he's a very slick grappler. There is a world where he can somehow pull something off. He can certainly win this fight, but there's a world where they're on the ground, they're in a scramble, and he snatches something up. So I'm going to leave that alone. Tom Aspinall, we're going to leave that alone as well. Those are heavyweights, and you just never know what's going to happen in heavyweight, let alone Tom Aspinall, who has the least amount of octagon time of any champion on the roster. But we do have some other options here. We got Christian Leroy Duncan, 8.5 fight minutes. We're going to do the higher there, and that's because Christian Leroy Duncan, while he does have a ton of finishes, he can take his time. He can feel himself a little bit, play the game. He's fighting Gregory Rodriguez, also has a ton of finishes, but he's a guy who can come forward and stay tough, or a guy that can work in some grappling. I think that this fight, they're going to look at each other for a little bit. I think there's going to be a feeling out process. They are both dangerous, and they both know that. I also think Gregory Rodriguez is going to work in a little more grappling than he normally does. We saw that after he got knocked out by Bruno Ferreira. His next couple of fights, he's using the grappling a little bit more than he normally does. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gregory Rodriguez feels it out on the feet, takes his time, Christian Duncan takes his time on the feet, and then Gregory looks to wrestle, and I think we can get past the 8.5 fight minutes. If you look at Duncan's last fight, where he did have a finish over somebody far less durable than Christian Rodriguez, we almost hit this number there. Giga Chikadze. This is another interesting one. I don't think he's going to win by finish. And we don't have that on his side, but we do have it on the Arnold Allen side. Half a finish lower. I don't think Arnold Allen is going to finish Giga Chikadze. I think he certainly wins this fight. I think this could look exactly like the Calvin Kattar fight, but we have 3 rounds here. We don't have the full 5 that you would normally get on a Giga type fight. So I think Arnold Allen is going to touch up Giga Chikadze. I think he's going to be a little faster to the punch, but he's not going to finish Giga Chikadze, who is a very durable guy in general. So the lower on a half a finish makes a lot of sense in that fight. Jake Hadley stepping up on short notice. We're just getting some juiced lines here, so we're not going to get anything that we can do the under on. Let's continue to work our way down. We're looking for Muhammad Mokaev. I must have passed him up. Come on. Come on. Where are we? This is why UnderDog Fantasy is so great. There's so many options here. Bobby Green, Christian Duncan, Giga, Daniel, Bruno, Arnold Allen, Jake Hadley, Marcin, Prachnio, Molly McCann, Sam Patterson, Shauna Cowlin, Modestas, Muhammad Mokaev, all the way at the bottom. We're going to go the lower on this 34.5 significant strike line. The reality is Muhammad Mokaev has only gotten past that number one time, and it was in his last fight. And what happened in his last fight? His takedowns were defended, and he was fighting somebody who just wasn't pulling the trigger on their end. That's not going to happen with Manel Kape. One of two things happens here. Either Muhammad Mokaev gets the grappling going, and he's going to get nowhere near this number, as he has not gotten near this number in the past when he gets his grappling going, or Manel Kape is going to defend the takedowns and then not be hesitant. He's going to let his hands go, potentially put Muhammad Mokaev away, and put an end to that undefeated chapter of his career. Either scenario, I don't think he gets to 34.5 significant strikes. This is the entry. I have already built it. Let's go ahead and take a look. We have the Arnold Allen under a half of a finish. Muhammad Mokaev lower than 34.5 significant strikes. Leon Edwards lower than 84.5 significant strikes. And then Christian Duncan higher than 8.5 fight minutes. This is my entry. If you love it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. The most important thing here is get your free money. Just get the free money, use that, build your own entries, and go from there. WeWantPicks.com/underdog, promo code WW.